Good evening, everyone, and welcome back once again to Vicious Rants. And of course, I am your host, your YouTube messiah, and often imitated, never duplicated superstar Tim Vicious. And, well, it's October, it's the end of the month, so we're talking pay-per-views. Hell in a Cell. Alright, so this Hell in a Cell, I was fairly impressed. It was a decent show. Yeah, it was a decent show. They could have done a few things better in my book, but you know that's always the case, you know. And the basic core concept of this show here: complain about the product all you want, go ahead. Offer an idea and an alternative on how you think it could be better. That's the basic core concept of this show. But yeah. Anyways, on with the pay-per-view. Pre-show, not going to talk about Miz.TV, not because it was bad, but we don't really talk about promos unless they help some kind of way to explain some of the story going on the show, but fortunately this didn't. The only good thing that came out of Miz.TV was the entire time Sandow was interviewing Miz, he was mirroring him. Like, literally, on everything. We got a match in the middle of it. We got a match during the pre-show also. Mizark Henry versus Bo Washington. No, that does not mean that they storyboarded Bo to have a brother from another city. But instead, what it is, Bo was so upset on how Dallas has been doing between their Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan, so I can't really say nothing on that. I'm kind of for on how the Cowboys are doing. And how they brought a deadly disease over to the U.S. Which, by the way, yeah, thanks a lot, Dallas. Thanks a lot. And yeah, so he changed his name for tonight to Bo Washington, and got in the ring. And next thing you know, the match basically went like this. Henry grabbed Bo, tossed him around like a rag doll, gave him World's Strongest Slam, got the 1, 2, 3. And that was that. Literally. I'm not even joking. I wish I could explain that there was more to the match than that, but no, there wasn't. After the match, though, Bo wound up having a mic, and he was saying, "Cheater! Cheater! I wasn't ready. You may have won this match, but I've won in life because I believe." And that was just beautiful, beautiful textbook heel tactics and the way you gotta act. You know, with Bo's character, it's just so horribly cheesy, you can't help but love it. And the way he just has the character go, it's great. It's like what you would picture one of those motivational speakers to be if they were a wrestler. Anyways, now on with the main show. First match of the night, 2 out of 3 fall, Intercontinental title match. And Nick Meltzer McGee, I know we talked earlier, we did talk earlier in that week, did promise your boy an Intercontinental title shot. Lo and behold, you got your Intercontinental title shot. So, you're welcome. Don't you go trying to bitch to me on anything now. Now, as far as what this match goes, I liked it. I didn't like on how it ended. Even though I just said that Nick Meltzer McGee's guy wound up getting the match, I wanted to see him win. I wanted to see Cesaro win. Cesaro didn't. I'll explain on that in a minute as we go. Now, this was a really decent match. It was, you got Ziggler, moving around in there with absolutely zero problem whatsoever. And you got, excuse me, and then you got Cesaro just basically going and being a powerhouse the entire time, just slamming and throwing them, and Ziggler wound up getting the first fall, which, yeah, that kind of blew my prediction out the water, because I was saying Cesaro was gonna win, and not just win, but by 2 straight falls back to back. And unfortunately, he did not. So, but yeah, he did that, and the look Cesaro had after he got that 3 count, just wait, what? And then right after the 3 counts, Cesaro was just wham, going to town on him. He just went to straight up town and was trashing Ziggler. The ref had to pull him off. It's like, whoa, stop for a minute. Gotta give a minute, catch your breath, and then we'll ring the bell. Did that, ring the bell to start the second round, and then boom, Cesaro started going at it again. And Ziggler, probably one of the best moves out of the entire match was Ziggler had a sleeper on Cesaro, or not a sleeper, he had some kind of a headlock on him. Cesaro, while he's on him, climbed up to the second rope and superplexed him off of that. Yeah. This guy's got like scary strength. That is just straight up pure God-given strength there. Yeah, Kenny over at Sunday Segway said it best. Cesaro is basically, man, just being like the workhorse of the company. A lot like Chris Benoit was at the end of his WCW run. And I like seeing that Cesaro is being a workhorse and getting time out there like that. However, I don't like that Cesaro isn't getting wins and he ain't scoring wins. And anyway, yeah, Cesaro he wound up getting rolled up by Ziggler, got the 1-2-3. Ziggler's been getting a lot of schoolboys and quick roll-ups lately for wins, and it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I mean, you know, if you're in a high-pressure match like that, that works. But if it's just a regular, ordinary match, like Ziggler versus Joe Schmo, I don't like the idea of him using a roll-up for a quick win. You know, have him go and hit his finisher or super kick the guy outside of the ring and, excuse me, win by countout. You know? Yeah. Anyways, now in the next match. The Bella match. Nikki Bella versus Gorgonzola or Gouda or Swiss. The one that's named after a cheese. Brie mode. Yeah, that's right. Brie, because I'm pretty sure Brie mode is really when you get Montezuma's revenge watching any Bella segment. And if you don't know what Montezuma's revenge is, well, look it up, folks, because I'm not here to educate. I'm not here to educate you on that, on real facts. I'm here to educate you on wrestling. Come on! Use your brains. Anyways, the match was half decent, but seriously though, I mean, it's the Bellas, for crying out loud. I mean, you got one that can semi-cut a promo, and you got one that can semi-wrestle. So, yeah, that's about it. And Nikki wound up getting the win, obviously, because given the stipulation, loser has to be the winner's personal assistant. And seriously, I want you to think about this for a minute. What would a babyface wouldn't go and own someone and be their personal assistant? That's just the cold hard truth. Nobody would go, a babyface wouldn't go and own somebody. Because they've done the loser has to be the winner's slave kind of matches for X amount of time, all long before. I mean, probably the most memorable one to me would be Perry Saturn versus Raven. And, you know, it was obvious then, because Saturn was a babyface. Well, Saturn just left the flock. Why would he want to own someone? Why would he own him? And, you know, it's the same thing here, you know? She's the lovable babyface. Why would she go and own someone? It's, you set up gimmicks like this, you can't help but just think, okay, yeah, I already know the outcome. Even if you already know on how the outcome for a particular match is going to be, at least give us the idea that there's a chance that you could do a swerve, you know? That's the big thing. You gotta keep the fans guessing and keep them thinking. That, and for the love of God, seriously, somebody in creative needs to rethink the name of Nikki's finisher. Rename it, because seriously, Rack Attack? I mean, for crying out loud, you might as well just have her go and do a body splash and call it the Boo Bomb. Next matchup was the tag team match. Goldie, the Dust Brothers versus the Usos. And I was not disappointed on this match one bit. Especially, you know, always been a huge Goldust mark. Always loved him, you know. And, you know, Goldie, for a guy pushing for a guy in his 40s, he's still moving and working that ring with no problem whatsoever, like he's a guy in his early 20s, you know? And all I'm saying is, you gotta love the DDP yoga for that, you know? And I do that shit, you know? So, I can vouch, that shit does work. You know, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't actually have a six-pack right now. But, moving on to the show, not trying to blow smoke up my own ass. You know, the match was, I wasn't disappointed with the match. I liked it. Like I said, I can really care less on the Usos because the Usos, they're just basically they're just basically a tag team that does nothing but high spots. I mean, they do a couple jabs or shots like that here and there, but mostly, I mean, the best way I could describe them on how the Usos' tactics: kicks, Samoan drop, body splash, suicide dive. That's their basic moves. You know, I mean, it's. Can you seriously just revamp them, rewire them in some kind of way, give them a different move set, you know? You know, here's an idea. Have them take like 3 or 4 months off, have one Uso study, learn like regular boxing or something, and have one learn like Brazilian Judo or whatever, you know, just so that way, you know, have them find a way to implement them into their repertoire, and there you go, you could do that. You know, it would be something different, because honestly, Usos. But yeah, Dust Brothers wound up getting the win. Cody wound up hitting the cheap shot, and Goldie wound up getting the roll up. Got the 1, 2, 3. They won, and that was. I will allow. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'll allow it. More so to the point because, you know, Goldie and Stardust, they're the heels, and they're supposed to do dirty tricks like that to win. I mean, for crying out loud, their dad literally wrote that as an idea for booking, hence Dusty finishers. Next matchup, Hell in a Cell match, Orton versus Cena. First off, midway into the show, Orton and Cena are not in the main event, and the reaction everyone gets when they realize Ambrose and Rollins are main eventing, that was pretty much the internet's reaction. Yeah. If you don't believe me, just look over the Twitter machine. Yeah, that describes it right there. And yeah, it's this match, their match. This was probably my favorite match between them all, between these two, especially given that these guys have had a lot of matches. I think this one was number in WWE's numbers 9. In the fan perspective, probably 9,008,006,547. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that. But I was actually pretty impressed with the match. It was, like I said, my favorite one between them both. You know, I think it was because there wasn't a title on the line, so there wasn't a title on the line, it was more so just a title match on the line, which, you know, it didn't give it that, it was important, but it didn't give it that, oh, it's for the belt, he's gonna become the new champ, kind of feel. But, you know, seeing Randy just going angry in there, just going in there angry, which is good because, you know, Randy is a good heel. It's just, you can't have him just be a cold, calculated heel. That doesn't work for him. You want him to be a good heel, you gotta have him be pissed. You gotta have him be angry, and you gotta have him willing to rip someone's head off and shit down their neck, as opposed to someone's duffel bag. But yeah, hey, I even said on Sunday Segway I was hoping to see someone's face get pressed up smashed against the cage like they were trying to get put through a Play-Doh press. Randy Orton obviously was listening to the Sunday Segway this week and that morning before the pay-per-view, and said, you know what, I'm gonna do what that Tim Vicious guy said, and I'm gonna smash Cena's face up against it like a Play-Doh press. And so, Randall, as much as I trash you on here, thank you on that. Now, as far as the rest of the match, you know, it was good seeing it because they brought out a lot of the old tactics that were used in Hell in a Cell that you didn't really see, that we haven't really seen in the past like 2-3 years. Ton of chairs, tables, stairs, and I know they used some chairs before recently in past Cell matches, but I'm talking like use them like as straight up, use them as if it wasn't a no DQ match, as if it was like a no DQ match really. You know, Randy also for first time in literally a long time hit an RKO out of nowhere that I didn't see. Super Cena started getting his second wind, was doing the shoulder tackles. Next thing you know, Randy was on the ropes, and just as Cena was about to go and do the go and pick him up to slam him, Randy just wham, hit him. And of course, Cena just looks at you and says, "My, what a lovely finisher you have. It would be a shame if someone were to kick out." And he kicked out. Yeah, he kicked out of like 2 or 3 RKOs that night, which, you know, it's always hate when you kick out of a finisher, because really, you're gonna kick out of it? How does that sell that move is your be-all end-all maneuver to stop a person? I mean, that'd be like if the Iron Sheik would have kicked out of Hulk Hogan's leg drop. Yeah, I've never been a fan of kicking out of a finisher, but that's me. But yeah. Match wound up coming to an end. Randy had a table set up, propped up. It looked like he was going to go and hit Cena with a superplex. Cena started getting a win, started taking jabs at Randy, stopped. And then Randy looked then it looked like Randy was going to go and give him an RKO through the table. Cena once again started getting the second wind, and then wound up just picking him up and wham, giving him an AA through the table. And yeah, so your winner and now new number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Cuck Fina. In which case, Masked Mark, Robot Hammer, like I said, I know you guys bow to the altar of John Cena and look for hustlelias and AA men's all you want. You can look to that, but do not have your guy go and try and stand toe to toe with my guy. Because like I said before, Paul is God, man. Do not have him go up against my Savior's beast. Because seriously, look on how it went down. He has gotten beaten, he has gotten broken more times than not. And really, you really want to do this again. You know, I wanted to see Randy versus Brock. You know, it's a damn shame that they didn't do that, because that would have been a phenomenal match. Next matchup, Miz versus Sheamus. So you got the ball bag versus Sheamus for the U.S. title. Best part of this match was Sandow outside mimicking the ball bag the entire time. Although I do have it on authority that Mizdow was not actually mimicking, as I rephrase this. He was in fact wrestling an imaginary bear that was right next to him. So that's what it was. But on with the match. Yeah, it's Sheamus and Miz, they've had a couple of different matches. This one really wasn't up on par compared to some of the others. I mean, it just kind of felt like a time filler to me. But, excuse me, Sheamus wound up getting a win, 1, 2, 3, wound up hitting a bro kick on Miz and Sandow. And then the best part of that was right at the end. Right at the end. Oh my God, this was hilarious. Yeah, Sheamus picked up Miz's arm. Sandow's arm came up. Did it again. Sandow's arm came up. Next thing you know, he stood Miz up. Sandow was up. I'm doing YMCA thing, and he wound up doing it. It was like seeing a voodoo doll, like Weekend at Bernie's. I was rolling over laughing. Mizdow is money. Whatever he's getting paid, he needs to get that shit tripled for what he's doing. You know? Next matchup, Rusev and Big Show. And yeah, this one, pretty alright. I mean, I was more so interested in Lana, especially considering she, you know, just, Lana. Need I say more? But yeah. Yep. Rusev, he was getting a pretty good ass whooping thrown to him. He was throwing a good ass whooping back. It was decent back and forth, and then Mizar came out, was cheering Henry on. Biggest surprise about the fact that Henry came out was the fact that they were able to find jeans that were Mark Henry's size. You know? But he came out, cheering Big Show on. Next thing you know, and didn't wind up working out that way, and Rusev wound up hitting both guys, and Rusev got the accolade in on the Big Show. Big Show never submitted. He passed out, which is more than what we could say about you, Mark. Which is saying something, because I like you a hell of a lot more than I like Big Show. And Rusev wound up getting the win. Next up, the ST Divas title match. Paige versus AJ. First off, best part of this match was no CM Punk chants. In which case, thank you people for finally getting it through your head. He's gone, he quit, he's not coming back. Stop cheering for him. You want to say something's boring, then do a boring chant. Don't go chanting for some guy that just walked off on you. And now back to the match. It was, what you normally expect between these two. They're both good workers. It's just, I didn't really have a feel for the match. They just announced that Paige is going to be on season 3 of the ST Divas reality show, and they put out there that they don't want any of the girls that are on that show to ever hold a title. So, that just means that AJ's now going to be the female Bruno Sammartino for that title. She's going to wind up being like Bruno Sammartino for that title and hold it until she's blind, crippled, and crazy. So yeah, joy. If anything, I'm just really hoping now that means that they'll bring up a couple of the girls from NXT and have them fill in the void for who the belt can change hands with. Because seriously, you can't just keep the title on one person for so long. Because you can only keep the crowd interested in this person being champion for so long before they're like, oh yeah, it's the champ, okay. Well, go you. And Paige wound up, AJ wound up getting the win, Black Widow. Pissed off at the fact that the second it got locked in was when Paige tapped. You could have at least waited 2 or 3 seconds afterwards. Just to sell that, that the pain was too much. That you were hurting. Not just the second you get torqued, you're like, ah! But, after that, AJ walked off. Paige decked Alicia Fox. So, yeah. So much for that friendship. And next match of the night, it is the main event. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. Ambrose came out with the Singapore cane and a sash. Everyone was saying, oh, he looks like Casey Jones. He looks like Casey Jones. No, he didn't, motherfucker. He looked like somebody I knew in South Philly ready to go and swing, because anytime, growing up in South Philly, I knew plenty of dudes that would go and carry shit like that and just be like, okay, time to go whoop some ass. And go and do that. Ambrose climbed up to the top of the cell. Second I saw him climb up there, all I thought was, oh God, please don't make him do a Foley spot. Don't do a Foley spot. Next thing you know, Rollins came out, had Jamie Noble and had Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury climb up the cage and go and get Ambrose. Next thing you know, he whooped them, and then Rollins came up, started whooping Ambrose. Ambrose got second win. Was like, oh Seth, come here, and started ripping him apart. Next thing you know, numbers game got to him, and Rollins picked up the Singapore cane, had it drop, and they were getting ready to go and toss Ambrose over. Ambrose started getting the second win again. That's when Seth started to climb down, and Ambrose and Rollins were both hanging on to the cell like halfway. Like the cell's up to here, they were about maybe here, fighting at each other, and then they both did what will now be dubbed as a half Foley spot through the Spanish and the regular announce tables. And to everyone that complained about them taking a half Foley spot instead of going off of the top of the cage, really, people, I want you to think, it's nothing short of a fucking miracle Mick Foley walked out of there still alive after taking that spot. You want to go and risk those two guys doing that kind of a spot. There's a difference between taking a spot that is going to be painful, and a spot that, you know, you're putting your life on the line for, and the odds may not necessarily be in your favor. But yeah, medics came down, had Ambrose and Rollins in stretchers, and next thing you know, Ambrose was like, no stretcher. Picked up Rollins off of his, tossed him in the cell, yelled at the ref, "No, lock it! Locked the cell, and then the match officially began, and he just, oh my God. These guys tore it up from the floor up. You know, probably one of the best parts of the match, and was right as Ambrose is beating Rollins, you know, he just looks like, "You stabbed me in the back, you son of a bitch," and then just started wailing him with the chair. And yeah, these guys were putting it all out there on it. I absolutely loved it. Folks, please make sure you thank Ring of Honor and Combat Zone for giving us this WWE main event. And this was beautiful. This is actually what wrestling should be. Hard-hitting, ass-kicking, no name taken, and, you know, it was just all straight beautiful. Ambrose was about to go and get the finish, and, you know, he pulled out cinder blocks. He had Seth's head laying on there, lined him up, was getting ready to go curb stomp him, when all of a sudden lights went out, and all you see is, you hear chants, "Ujjayi, Ujjayi, Ujjayi," and then next thing you know, Bray Wyatt comes back right out of nowhere, tears up Ambrose. Rollins just creeps over. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna just pin him now. Please don't hurt me. 1, 2, 3," and then rolls out and then runs for dear life. That's it. End of the pay-per-view. Fade to black. They built up now. Ambrose is pissed, looking for Wyatt, and the way they did it on Raw was beautiful, because now you got Bray saying, you had Bray come out there. Dean, I'm like, this world ain't meant for guys like us. We are, you know, saying on how they're different compared to on how the rest of the world is. They just want to watch the world burn, you know, that kind of a thing. And it was just beautiful. I absolutely loved it. You know, Ambrose and Wyatt is going to be a nice feud, and it was a nice natural way to shift out of Ambrose versus Rollins into this. Especially, you know, if they can play this right, we could see Ambrose and Rollins be the equivalent of Rock and Austin feuds, you know, on how their feuds started out in the mid-card and then worked their way up. We could see the same thing with these guys. But yeah, that's it for this week's show, folks. So, like on normal, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch all the other episodes. Look for me on Twitter at TimVicious. Make sure y'all look for my backup account, Tim_Vicious. I get put in Twitter jail every now and again. I don't always follow back right away on that one either. Also, I'm trying out this whole Facebook gimmick. Tim Ash is my name on there because I believe in kayfabe, damn it, and I am not using my real name. Or my real last name, I should say. Tim is my real birth name. But yeah, also make sure y'all follow all these cool-ass cats right here on Twitter. Vicky Earls, I am Danny Sunday. Mucky Morris, Axel Mulligan. Make sure y'all check out Vicky's YouTube channel as well as Axel's show, Axel's Analysis. Sunday Segue, I did guest on there this week. Kenny absolutely loved it. Hope it doesn't take as long as it did last time to get back on there again, brother. Sinfully Sabrina, Cranky Grandpa, Legion Lady Aaron, Alva Ben, Just a Stupid Mark. Make sure y'all check out Alva Ben's and Masked Mark's TNA Turnaround, as well as Bronx Bitch Forever, who is my client, and may I add, my client is the Raw General Manager. And much like I always tell y'all, you love me great, you hate me Fuck yous.